There we go. Nice to see you. Hi, everybody. Good to be here. Lachlan Cross on harmonica, opening up the show as we do every day. We got a busy day for you. We're talking Pink Shirt Day. We're talking Groundhog Day. We're talking rink boards and epilepsy. We're talking seizures. Yes, it's going to be one of those shows. And we're going to talk Pink Shirt Day with our boy, James P. White. And we're going to see if we can help him end bullying in our time. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but at least we can raise awareness. That's on the program today. Joining me as always from beautiful Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, please welcome the host of The Locker Room, 957cruisefm.ca is where you can find him weekday mornings. Radio host extraordinaire, Mr. Lachlan Cross. Nice to see you, sir.
We're going to have some people in the Edmonton area that I think are going to be suffering some migraines. I hope not, but we're going from like very cold to above zero tomorrow. Like it's supposed to be 2 degrees. 4 degrees by Saturday.
It was like right now minus 20 all week there too. It's just
it's been cold. Crazy. Yeah, minus 15 or something right now, I think. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's nice. We start off the podcast talking like a couple old guys. What's the weather like out there? Minus 14.
Yeah, but you know what? That shift in the weather, I'm starting to notice it. It's impacting me, like my sleep and my sinuses. Oddly, like I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, there's people. My knee fucking acts weird. My knee hurts like a MF when the weather changes, like extreme weather changes. My knee just kills. I can't explain. It's like
you played.
You played volleyball, basketball. Yeah. Right? But not. See, we're gonna get into this conversation about sports.
Golf
injuries.
is bad. Golf is bad for knees.
It is. It's very bad.
Because there's that twist right at the end.
Yeah, I know. But you and I are talking sports injuries, and we have a guy in the wings. Very excited to bring him into the program. Who would listen to us go, I got a bad knee. Oh, every time it rains, it fucking really hurts. Please welcome multiple Olympian, Canadian football legend, Mr. Jesse Lumsden, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Lumstock. Did you hear us complaining about our injuries?
Yeah, no, it's cute, real cute.
I got a click.
God, the weather's changing. My knees are getting a little creaky.
Oh, fuck the knee, the left knee. She's really giving out. Oh my God. But no, it's true. Like weather changes screw us up. Jesse Lumsden joins us at jesse.lumsden is where you can find him on some kind of social. It's not Twitter because he hasn't been on it for like a year. We'll get into all that.
You got my Twitter there. I think that's my Instagram.
That's your Instagram?
Yeah.
At jesse.lumsden. Okay, so Jesse Lumsden. But the weather, you're in Calgary, right? First of all.
Yeah.
Basically the same weather that you get as Edmonton, correct?
Yeah, well, I think we get the Chinooks a little more often, a little more frequently than Edmonton does. But to Locke's point, I got a few friends and colleagues in the office right now that have the Motrin on the desk because the migraines are coming for people.
Yeah.
What is that? What is it barometric pressure? Like, can you fucking explain that? Like, or can you, Jesse? Because you're a banker now. I don't know if you can explain it.
I'm not a banker, but I certainly am not a meteorologist either. But I'm pretty sure that's something to do with the barometric pressure.
I thought we would have figured it out by now. It's like we live in this ignorance all the time, don't we? Where it's like, oh, my knee hurts every time it rains. And we're like, I could Google that right now and figure it out, but we don't.
I work with somebody.
Just ask Siri.
Ask Siri. Yeah. Are you one of those Siri guys where you got a question, you ask Siri, or you just constantly, are you really?
It depends if my hands are dirty, I'll ask her. I don't want to touch my phone. I'm cooking, gardening. I know where you're going.
Oh, gardening. Yeah, gardening. You do a lot of fucking gardening.
I garden. I have a vegetable garden in my backyard.
Are you serious?
I swear to God.
You've changed.
Why?
You've changed. Oh, dude.
Why?
Okay, let's just go back 20 years, right? I meet you. You're a professional football player. I'm a big swinging dick on the radio. We didn't grow vegetables. We didn't do any of that stuff. No. We rode our motorcycles around. We got drunk all the time.
Yes.
At least I did. I don't know about you. I know I've had a few drinks with you and been out with you a few times.
Yep.
Look at us. We start this podcast talking about our fucking knees, and then we start talking about the weather, and now we're into Jesse Lumsden has a vegetable farm.
Green beans and tomatoes.
You got green beans and tomatoes in the backyard?
Well, not right now. I got nothing but dog shit and snow. But that, I try my best. Just I try my best.
I
actually
it's
going the smoothies every once in a while.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What is it about us? It's fucking wild, eh? Because I'm excited. Obviously happy to have you on. Jesse Lumsden joins us on the program today with Lachlan Cross. We got lots of stuff to get to. James P. White's going to be here. But it's amazing. Like you and I haven't talked for how long? Like we talk once or twice a year, maybe. Like it was like, hey, Big Cat, how you doing? Not bad, Big Stick. Everything good with you? Yeah. How are the kids? Great, good stuff. And in that time, I have stopped drinking, which you've been out with me. That's a veritable impossibility. I also grow things in the summer. I've embraced Stoic philosophy.
Yeah.
I've actually I try to live by values and virtues. And I used to look at guys like you and me like, fuck, those guys missed out on fun, didn't they?
Loser.
But you know what it is? You know what it is, I think? I think guys like you and I just get to the end of a point where you're like, I gotta do something else. Like everything I did when I was a kid brought me to this one point where you're like, I'm gonna learn how to fucking grow vegetables. And all of a sudden you fucking fall in love with growing vegetables, right? Like it's weird.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too that there's very few people out there that can, go as hard as some and come out on top. And it's just one of those things that I love one of my favorite podcasts right now is Two Bears, One Cave with Kreischer and Tom Segura.
Awesome.
Kreischer is a runaway bullet train of disaster. And I'm enjoying it from this seat and not the seat that he's in anymore. Because you know what my greatest fear in life is? My greatest fear in life.
Being trapped in a basement with me for more than 3 hours.
No, that's on my to-do list.
Oh, thank you.
One of my greatest fears in life is parenting. Oh, did I lose you guys? Hungover.
No, we're here.
Okay.
Parenting hungover?
Parenting hungover is one of my greatest fears because those little devils know, and they will poke and try your patience, and that's just like that's one of the reasons I don't really drink anymore either, to be honest with you. Very, very, very seldom. But look at us growing up.
What? Yeah, look at, and then there's Lachlan
in the middle. I spent 18 years doing it. I think Jesse,
if you haven't parented with it like a 12-bell hangover on a Saturday, if you haven't done it, where you're in a rink with your kid and you got sweat pouring down your fucking back and your head is like literally over your eyeballs and you're like, just want to die. I can't do this. You're right, dude.
I think where you guys went wrong is you assumed that at some point that you needed to be responsible for the children. See, I avoided that.
So you don't have to?
It worked for me. I let my wife do most of the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
That dude, a true story. Like I remember him telling me when we first met, I'm like, so you didn't parent your kids? He goes, nope. No, I just deferred to the wife and I just had to, do a couple of things, but no, she raised my kids. And then I met his lovely wife, Deb, just a beautiful woman. And I'm like, hey, he says you raised the kids. He goes, he didn't do anything. I wouldn't let him. And I'm like, you weren't lying. You didn't. You really didn't raise your kids.
But that's great because they understand the expectations in that relationship make it work. Now, if she expected you to raise those kids, I mean, you guys probably would be in a different situation. What do you think?
It's just a vape with nicotine in it. It's my last addiction. It's my last thing. It's like the last thing.
He's hard on it too.
I fucking love it. I don't know about you, but it's like when you give up so much, right? You give up drinking. You give up partying. You give up that lifestyle, the craziness, the chaos. It's like I need one thing in my life that says, "Oh yeah, you're a badass."
I do appreciate that, but I don't know anybody that had any sort of an addiction issue that doesn't gravitate to something, right? Like there's it's funny. I love the sober guys that go on and on and on and on about how you got to quit drinking, but are stoned all day, every day, 7 days a week. That's my favorite conversation to have on how sober they are. Yeah, you're really sober, eh? Like, so how long does it take you to roll all the joints you need before you leave the house in the morning? I don't know. I make a pot of coffee and, I get about 10, 12 done, and then I'm usually good for the day. Okay, good. So sober, we'll go back to that again. That's my favorite conversation to have. That's and they're hammering joints all day. sober as a judge.
Yeah, but you're not hungover after you smoke 13 joints on a Friday.
Oh, it's way better for you.
Do. It is. You're not present. But that's the funny thing. Like, and so last year we were doing Pink Shirt Day. James P. White's going to be on and going to talk about it. That was the last time we saw Jesse on the show last year. And
wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, you were.
I didn't realize it's Pink Shirt Day coming up. There you go.
It's coming up. We got it February 22nd, a Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's
Jesse,
awesome.
we went with somebody else on the panel, not because we didn't enjoy what you brought to the table last year, but we're trying to mix it up.
Yeah.
Trying to mix
it up. And plus, I just start like tearing up and stuff like that and listening to like
it was a heavy day.
Yeah, it was.
It was a heavy day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bullying day that we talked about last year, and you said shit, and there was like 80 classrooms watching. You're like, don't pay attention to that shit, kids. And I was starting to laugh, and I'm like, that's Lum's dog. He just speaks truth. He's like, hey, kids, don't put up with that shit. I'm like, hey, by the way,
I thought your story was awesome. You know what? And this year we'll get more into it. But Jesse, just so you know, we got Kids Help Phone as a sponsor.
Yeah.
So not only is it going to be stories from people that have had success in their lives, like yourself last year, but now we got an organization that's national, because this thing we had classrooms from right across the country tuning in last year. Now we have a resource for them, somewhere that they can go. And we got Ali Khan, who's one of the executive directors from Kids Help Phone. He's actually based in Calgary. He'll be joining us to speak a little bit about what Kids Help Phone is all about and the resources that are available to kids. Because I don't know, that group's been around forever, but I'm not sure if it's top of mind for kids, right? Like, I don't know if that's a go-to thing for somebody that might be dealing with something a little bit stressful, right?
I think it's kind of embarrassing for some of the kids that you talk to them, and they're like, hey, you know, and listen, I've got 3 boys, and we talk about these things. We talk about mental health and all that other stuff. But had that been around when I was a kid, or when you were younger, when Locke was younger, it's not one of those things that you think about doing. But, you know, I read some statistics about kids specifically that are struggling, right? And that was one of the most amazing parts about last year's Pink Shirt Day, is all these kids got a chance to literally connect in classroom with guys like Jesse and other people that we had on the show, Mercedes Nickel, James, to talk about bullying. And it's fascinating, because something like 90% of kids under the age of, like, I think it was 14 had bullied or been bullied in their lives. Like, and had nowhere to turn and were embarrassed. That was the other part of the study that I was like, fuck, that's crazy. But I got it. Like, embarrassed to admit that you're being bullied, because it's like one of those things where you're being harassed. Everybody's embarrassed to talk about it, right, Jess? Because it's one of those things where it's like, I shouldn't be that person that people pick on. And I found that really fascinating.
Yeah, and even with Kids Help Phone, it's you, when you're trapped in a corner and you have to reach out for that extension and it's not right in front of you. That's a hard thing to do. And, you know, I talk about my wife often, because she went through bad postpartum depression after our second child, to the point where she needed help. And whether it's ego or pride, or, you know, she's also, she's an Olympic medalist in Vancouver. So it's like, I should be able to control this. I should be able to do this myself. And it's that surrender to understand that it's, you know, it's, I saw a great quote. It's like, asking for help is not giving up. It's ensuring that you won't give up, which I thought was brilliantly put. But when you're a kid and alone in a corner, and it's like, there's a phone number, and that seems scary. You're going to talk to a stranger. You know, you're indoctrinated not talk to strangers. Don't tell, like, people personal information, but that's kind of like the only lifeline that you have. If you don't have somebody to help get you there, it becomes very, very difficult. It takes a very, very courageous person to do that too.
And it lasts a lifetime. Like, it lasts into your adult years, right? Like, if you don't realize how to ask for help, which is what I found fascinating about last year's, was when you said, because you and I, you know, you don't talk for a year to 2 years, and then I'm like, hey, can you do Pink Shirt Day last year? You're like, yeah, I'd love to, happy to help, because you're awesome. And you're like, as a practicing Stoic, and as I heard you say those words, I was like, tell me more, because it's the only thing I've found that's enabled me to understand the world around me and really process life as it should be processed. It's the only operating system that I've found to be able to do it. And that guy in the middle not only can't even say the word properly, he mocks me for it. And so when I told him you were coming on the show, I was like, Oh, good. You're going to be sandwiched between two guys that practice Stoicism as a life philosophy. So now's your chance to hit us all with bullets. Ask us what you need to know about Stoicism, the world's greatest operating system that was started in 400 BC by Zeno of Citium. It is easily the most affected my life has ever been in a positive way, and I don't know about you, but what got you into it? And then we'll get into Lachlan. Like, was it one of the same with me where you're like, fuck, dude, I'm so triggered by everything around me. I have nowhere to turn. I need to figure out my life.
I think I naturally, I was introduced to it through reading Ryan Holiday's books. So that's really where my introduction of the philosophy itself.
Which ones? Ego's the Enemy?
No, the first one I read was The Obstacle is the Way. So that was the one, because that was most relevant to my life. And I think I learned about Stoicism by going through all of the, like playing football, having people in the media talk shit about you and make fun of you and say stupid things, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And learning to kind of just, I can't do anything about what this person's saying, although it did impact me. Going through injuries, trying to get back up. So some of these things I learned through just, and never really had a framework around it, but I lived in principle. And then when I started reading Ryan Holiday's books and Obstacles Away, that's when I was like, okay, Marcus Aurelius, knew who he was, knew about him, knew that he was a Stoic philosopher and all that jazz. But then it's like, okay, let's pick up Meditations. And you start diving into his personal journal, which is super fascinating because it was never meant for mass production. Yeah. It's a guy's journal. So you're actually getting the in-depth thoughts of one of the great leaders in human civilization and his personal reflection on how he is as a person, as a leader, as a husband, as a slave owner. I mean, can't judge, like that's like, but there's like, so you look at history and you try to extrapolate as the good from what you can out of it. And even when he does talk about his slaves as a Roman emperor, he's like, these are also people, and I don't abuse them, and I don't do this because that's wrong, because of these principles of courage and temperance and justice and wisdom. So
but go get me a hot cocoa and make it snappy.
Who knows? But all I know is that that really opened my eyes to, wow, okay, so this is something that was used as a framework for people to get through their lives back, for many, many centuries. And now you have a guy like Ryan Holiday who's modernized it and is actually taking it to the next level, in the sense that, there's all of these people that have historical accounts of Epictetus's notes beside them all the time, or Marcus Aurelius's meditation, or, quoting themselves before going into these horrific situations from Stoics of the past. And it's now becoming more, not mainstream, but it's allowing the operating system, the way that it's being communicated now, is allowing people to sit back and say, this is really relevant to me right now.
Yeah. This
really matters. And this is something I should probably start thinking about and considering. And maybe I can do a little bit better in this situation. And I think one of the pillars is really, and you'll know this too, Diener, is there's so much that's out of your control. Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
You can control how you react to things. You can control your emotions in some situations. You have to learn how to do it. It's a skill set. I still struggle with a lot of those things, but it's one of those things that it's like, I'm in control of the outcome.
Right.
Did that person, and going back to the bullying, is what he said hurt me, or is my reaction is what's hurting me? And it's your reaction.
My judgment of what that is that what's hurting me? Am I looking at what this person is saying to me, and am I taking it to heart, or am I looking at that person and what they're saying to me, and is my value of what they're saying so much worse than what they're actually saying? Right?
And you're choosing.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to be hurt.
Yeah.
Like I'm making a choice to be hurt.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimate, then taking a step back, of being able to choose how you respond to a situation.
Wasn't that eye-opening for you too? Locke and I talk about this all the time. But wasn't that eye-opening for you too when you started to get into Stoic philosophy, you got into the art of living, or you got into meditations or Seneca's letters, moral letters, where they kept repeating that one narrative, which is you choose to take offense to things. It's your choice by the judgment that you make of the thing that's said. It's your choice to be triggered. It's your choice to be pissed off. And like you, that fucking set me free. I was like, wait a second. I don't have to care about what that guy says about me that he thinks is relevant in my life. Like, I don't have to care. I can ignore it. Not only can you ignore it, you can also have the perception of, well, wait a second. Why is he being mean? Why is he being a dick? Why is he saying that? Why is he trying to hurt me? Right? Why is he trying to hurt people around him? And if you understand the reasoning behind that, which, you know, you come to through what I did anyway, psychiatry, psychology, Stoic philosophy, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is really what Stoic philosophy is, right? It's the beginnings of cognitive behavioral therapy. It's if you reject that sense of injury, you're not injured, dude, right? And I was shocked because I walked around like a spaz all the time. Like, I was so mad at everybody for everything. And I just assumed that they knew that it was important not to piss me off. Like, I was the center of my own fucking universe, right? And it was amazing because it affected my life negatively in so many ways. I got to a point where someone sent me a book, which is Ego is the Enemy. And I thought it was sent to me by my ex-girlfriend because it had no receipt address on it. I found out it was a buddy of mine. It was in Stoicism. I started with Ego is the Enemy. And I was fucking blown away. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I've been telling everybody how cool I am this whole time. I'm nothing. I'm just another person. I'm just a human being that has no clue how to respond to the hard things in life. I just get pissed off all the time. And then I read Obstacle is the Way. And I'm like, oh my God, this requires work to understand how to get past the sense of injury, past that sense of resentment, past the idea that the world is at my fingertips and everybody should just do and come and go as I please. And if they don't, or if I fail, I should just quit. I should just be mad. And it's fucking, and then that in turn made me look at failure as like, what a teacher, right? Like, you know, guys like you and I that have suffered setbacks in our careers, whether it's football, whether it's bobsled, whether it's radio, public setbacks, we look at that and we go, and this is what fucking, again, set me free. We look at those failures and we go, it's over. It's over. I got nothing to do. My life's purpose is over. And it's not true. Like, that's the lie that gets told over and over and over again, that you've outlived your purpose. And then I started to think about why we're here. Like, what is the entire purpose? It's to just enjoy your life, right? It's to be happy while you enjoy your life. And if you don't know how to manage your life, it's super impossible to enjoy it. It just is. Sorry, Locke. I didn't mean to rant. Go ahead.
No. I enjoyed what you had to say. Now, I want to correct something. I have a relationship with Dean that allows me to make fun of him, right? Like, we've got this good back and forth. And so when he starts going on about the glass half full or whatever, I can just, I can have fun with that fact. I appreciate where Dean is at, and I appreciate how he's gotten to where he has gotten. And when I find out about other people's stories and how they've used whatever tools they needed to use to get there, I'm the kind of guy that will take pieces from it and see if I can incorporate it into my own life. And we're all on very different paths. I was very, very proud at Christmas. My daughter and I went for a walk with the dog, quite a long walk. And we spent, and she's a hard nut to crack. And we spent about an hour walking around Horlack Park here in Edmonton, which is not far from my house. And she, for whatever reason, she was open to having a difficult conversation. It started about family, and specifically the relationship she's building with my mother, who she doesn't know in Vancouver. And it gravitated towards this conversation about 8 years as a ballet student at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. What has that done to her? And she made a couple of comments that I was like, it just threw me for a loop, because I'm 50 and I don't think I became very self-aware at all until the last couple of years. I've been pretty blocked off from anybody else's idea of what it is that life should be and this path that I'm on, and I'm very stubborn, and I've been fucking bullish, and I've been blasting through life. So to have my daughter make a couple of comments that made me realize how self-aware she is was awesome. I was just like, oh my God, she's going to be okay. Right. Cause I do worry about my girls, and all joking aside, I do care about, them as human beings. And one of the things that I probably did.
It's key parenting, by the way, Locke. So good. I'm glad you're there. Key for parenting, that you care about your kids.
Yeah.
Thank you. The thing that I was really worried about is my lack of ability to accept anybody's idea of how to live a life. I am wildly triggered by somebody that says, hey, I've got the answers, to the point where I've had yelling matches with people from certain religions on my front yard.
Jehovah's Witness.
Them coming to my house to tell me how to live my life. So on first blush, Stoicism is just another sort of, I've got the answers for you. Sit down. Let's have a chat about where you're at. So when the way that Dean has done it, and he's kind of tricked me into it, when we have conversations, he sort of eases this bullshit into my life from the perspective of not from a book or whatever, but hey, have you thought about it this way? And then I'll get off the phone and realize that he's stoicism my ass. Right? And that's the way I need to be introduced to it. I've been doing yoga now. I broke my tailbone when I was 40. And when I was 41, I started doing yoga. And I was wildly triggered by the hippies and the over-the-top yoga. And
this isn't hippie philosophy, though.
No. I'm making
there are no hippies allowed even in the philosophy. Like if you're a hippie and we catch wind that you're following philosophy, you're out. Sorry, that's the way it goes.
Jesse, this is how I handled it. It took me a couple years, and I was like, okay, I don't need to incorporate yoga into my life the way they have. I can take elements of what it is that's working for me, and I can use that, and that's what I've done. And I've done the same thing with a lot of things in my life, and it's because I'm an uneducated, wildly egotistical human being that thinks that I've had all the answers all this time. And as that's disintegrating for me, I have been a little bit more open to the idea that there might be some lessons out there from the past that I can learn from. But for me to sit down with a book and go, all right, well, this guy has some answers and I'm going to be open to it. That's still a tough pull for old Longer.
Yeah. There's so after Obstacles Away, then I dove deep into Ryan Holiday, and he has the Daily Stoic, which is 366 meditations essentially, and it's a quote from one of the Stoics, and then it's an interpretation of that quote by Ryan and his co-author. That's a great way to introduce yourself to like a daily practice similar to yoga, without it being like you have to read a whole book. And he has a podcast version of it as well, so it's like literally a 4-minute
I've
podcast.
listened to a podcast, yeah.
And it's great because it just gives you something to think about. But what you realize as you listen to it more and as you read it more, and in the book they have it split off into categories, so like resilience and forgiveness and these sorts of things. But the messaging is just constantly the same. Like it's not like it's this, you need to do all these things. And it's one of those things too. It's like, well, are you a Stoic philosopher? No, I'm just trying to be a bit better. That's it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really appreciate and what you're talking about with like the whole religious aspect of it, and which is, one of Marcus Aurelius's quotes is like, be hard on yourself and gentle on others.
Yeah.
Like this is a practice for you, not for you to give to somebody else. And and by going through this process yourself, you're able to impart some wisdom with a friend about looking at something through a different perspective. That's all. You're just being there as a friend. You're not trying to convert somebody. Well, Dino might have been trying to convert you. I don't know. But
I don't think he does. I think eases it into the
I know, I'm just joking,
zeitgeist of
but
our
that's the nice thing
conversation.
about it, right? It's just it's an operating system. It's not like, again, and everybody talks about it, and you read meditations, you learn it was a tough one today, made some mistakes. You got to learn and you got to try to be a bit better tomorrow. Great.
Yeah, but
let's do that.
I sometimes I even put the stoicism aside.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is it. I'm going to put this one on the shelf for a minute.
But gentle on others is one that I need to work on. I mean, I was literally in a restaurant the other day, and I came this close to telling this 55-plus-year-old man that the waitress that was serving him was never going to go home with him. And I felt like I needed to tell this guy this. And then I realized that just, I literally
don't need it.
I turned to him and I'm like,
no,
this is not going to work. This is going to ruin his day. It's going to ruin my day. The waitress is going to be embarrassed. She's going to want to defend him because she still wants a tip. And this jagoff still thinks that he's going to take that waitress home. And probably every time he goes out for lunch, tries to pick up the waitress. Sorry, sack of shit he is. He doesn't get it. He hasn't picked up on social cues, right? Like, it was just awkward. And I felt like I needed to tell him because no one has in his life.
Well, okay, right? but here's the thing, right? Like, and I could be wrong, Jess. You feel free to correct me. But stoicism is the practice of you getting to the point where that shit doesn't piss you off. It's about you getting to the point where you can leave well enough alone. You don't have to fix the world's problems. The only person you got to fix is you, right? That's it. And so what stoicism would tell you, or what Marcus Aurelius would tell you, or Seneca or Epictetus would tell you, what they would say is that this is an opportunity for you to work on why that fucking pisses you off so much. And why it pisses you off so much is you find that unfair according to your value system, right? And you live by values and virtues, but you want to put those values and virtues on other people. No, That's why Stoicism is a philosophy for me, or, Epicureans, same thing. Anybody that studies philosophy, they know that this is about virtues, and these virtues are about you, not other people, right? And I don't know about you, Jess, but over the past, I would say 4 years with Stoicism, I've been so hyper aware of trying to stay in my lane, and I'm fucking terrible at it because I'm a mouthpiece, right? Like, I want to go out and fix problems, and I want to fix things that are unfair. There have been many times where I've could insert myself into a situation, but it would come at the cost of my mental and emotional impairment. It would come at the cost of me maybe getting myself into a situation that is not good for me, that doesn't help me become resilient, that makes me feel bad, all of those things. And it's this cognitive fucking practice, and it's every day where you're like, okay, I have to remember that the only fruit in this life, and this is one of the greatest, it's how I run my life, or at least try to. The only thing in this life worth of any fruit is being of good character and acts for the common good, right? So when I want to go and fucking correct somebody and insert my values into their life, it kills me to not do it sometimes. Like, you feel like you're walking away from a problem. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, yes.
It says, what is another quote? It's like, stop debating on what a good man is, just be one.
Yeah.
Just be one. I mean, you guys are in a tough spot, because in the world that you're living in, as sort of a public figure talking on topics in a divided world, you're taking stances on things. And when you take those stances, people are going to disagree with you. And it's really then how you respond to those people that are disagreeing with you. At the end of the day, the last 4 years have been fucked up. Let's just call a spade. And there's things that have happened that have swayed the way we think about things, the way we look at things, the way we look at people. And it's unfortunately created a lot of division in a lot of different areas. But at the end of the day, just try to be that good person. Just try to, insert yourself when you feel is necessary. Step away when you feel is necessary. Choose not to be offended by things. Choose not to speak sometimes is the best way to go about approaching a situation where there's disagreement. And it's there's all sorts of lessons. There's all sorts
just
of
taking notes. So don't speak.
Yeah.
I believe Seneca said it best when he said, "I will speak when I know what I have to say isn't better left unsaid." right? And that is practice, man. That is so fucking hard.
What if you have an ego like us, where you think that everyone needs to hear what you have to say?
I got an ego too, and I got to check myself all the time.
Do you really?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like
Seriously,
at home,
still?
it's like problem at home. I instantly go to try to like solution mode. It's like this, this, and this. Have you thought about this? What about this?
Doesn't work.
That's not how it's. What do you need? Do you need some solutions? You want me to listen?
How can
like
I help?
The same thing. It's like, how can I help? Tell me more.
Yeah. Are you one of those people too when conflict started to happen around you? Because I'll shoot straight. When conflict started to happen around me, and I would consider the significant other I lived with at the time conflictual when she would walk around angry and I couldn't figure out what the problem was, and then I'd be like, "Hey, here are all the solutions. This is all I can think of. Let's figure it out." I had no idea how to be any other way, right? And I had to get it away from me. So, were you like that? Are you like that too a little bit? Where that
men are fixers.
Yeah, we are. Where that philosophy
fixers.
has made you smarter about how you deal with those things as well.
I still got to try to be in the moment at the time, because I instantly go into like my preset is like, I got to fix this problem.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whoa. And I do it sometimes, not all the time. It's again, it's one of those things. It's just constantly working on trying to think a little bit differently, try to, approach things a little bit differently. And that's, I mean, there's, again, the quotes, like pick up the Daily Stoic. Cause again, even if you're not going to read it, you open it like once in a while and it's like on the date and it's like, oh, I needed that today.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Some of them I've glossed over. I've started to go through it with my own notebook. So I'll read the quote, and then instead of reading the interpretation, I'm going to interpret it myself. And so I'm starting to write it down in my own interpretation, and then in my own, like in a real life scenario that I've been a part of. So that's something that I found is, learning to try to digest something, make sense of it. And then I'll cross-reference of what their thoughts are too. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems with like religion in general, is the misinterpretation of what was originally said and how it was supposed to be. Christianity, the values of Christianity are not far off from the values of philosophy, certain philosophies, like it's about being good, be good to your people around you, treat people nicely. There's a lot of bullshit in there. There's a lot of, stuff that's misinterpreted, that's now being, spewed as gospel, which it shouldn't have been. I mean, again, I'm not a religious expert. It's just, and it's, again, well, funnel it out, filter it out. What do you want to be? You be you don't have to do this to do that. So
do you know what I was amazed at though when I got into Stoicism? Because I have to get into history, right? So I went back into the history of philosophy, and religion wiped out philosophical schools. I don't know if a lot of people know that. The Christian religion, the Catholic religions, literally went through and wiped out Cynicism, Epicureanism, Stoicism, any life philosophy, Socratic thinking, something that challenges you to reason and be your own best advocate, right? And they put that in the hands of religious bullshit and dogma and apologetics. And so now when we go back and we start talking about the philosophy, the interesting part about Christianity, because I fucking hate religion with all of my might, especially man-made, man-organized religion. It's a cult. All of it is. It's Amway for your soul. That's all man-made religion is. So when I go back and I start reading, I'm like, Jesus was a pretty cool philosopher. That's all he was, right? And then you can see all the man-made shit that's in there. And to strip it down, you have to go BC. You've got to go before the year 2000. You got to go before this stuff actually became what it is, which is a kettling service for religious people. But I was amazed at the commonality between some of the philosophies in the Bible and some of the philosophy in philosophy, because it all is based around the same idea, right? Listen, you can have a desire or a passion to, experience a human life, which is Epicureanism. What's hedonism? Hedonism is that philosophy. It's like, hey, I'm just here to get my stuff. That's it. That's a life philosophy. You can get into Stoicism. You can get into Epicureanism. But every single one of those things was about you and what you wanted for your life and how to manage your life, right?
Bingo. And that's the difference, right? It's like, what are you saying right now? It's like philosophy is about the self and the improvement without an overarching theme of control. There's no person you have to answer to but yourself, and following the principles of justice, courage, temperance, and wisdom. It's about being a better self and being a better steward of yourself and the people around you, versus doing it like, fuck, Ricky Gervais, was it? Somebody was like, I saw the quote. It's like, well, if the only reason you're a good person is because you think you're going into heaven, is you're a shitty person.
Mm.
Yeah.
If that's the only reason you're doing good things is to try to get into the club, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And whereas, a philosophy like Stoicism is about doing things for the right reasons, at the right time, for the right purpose.
I will say this though,
So
I have
simple.
met a couple of people that have weaponized it.
And it can be weaponized.
And,
and with a license, actually, because there's some shit in there that you could drop on people where they would go, "Oh, I'm fucked. Now I have nothing to say." Seriously.
But also I witnessed a couple of situations. One, a very, very close friend of mine who is on this path as well, who has used it in my assessment of where he's at, just to be the asshole he always wanted to be, and lords it over the people in his life because he is very intelligent. And I don't think I'll ever talk to that guy again. Like this
shouldn't
again. And the thing is, that's one of two bad experiences I've had with people practicing stoicism in my life, like that I knew of. Dean is an exception to the rule. And Jesse, I don't know you well enough.
He's like me. We're the same.
Yeah. But
he's just better looking and younger and lives in Calgary.
I found that I got a bad and I even told Dean about this. And Dean was trying to get me to get into the daily podcast thing. I think I still follow it on Spotify. It was right around that time too that I ran into this old friend of mine. We casually make contact a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
I've been doing this the last couple of years. Boom. Huge falling out. And then I was just like, ugh.
Not interested. But dude, it doesn't matter who believes what, right? Like, you're going to have assholes that believe in all kinds of stuff. And this is not about a club, which is the incredible part of philosophy. Philosophy is meant just for you, so you can understand the world and respond to it in a way that is beneficial for you. And I don't know about you, Jess, but like, I look at self-help guys now because of the success. And well, first of all, are you happier?
Am I happy?
You happier? Yeah.
In life?
Yeah. As a result.
Happy. I am happy.
You were always a happy guy to begin with.
I went through a period last year where I was really unhappy, and I had to and I fell off, was wondering a lot of things. And I actually experienced for the first time in my life, and probably had something to do with 40, stress of work, young family. But I was feeling layers of anxiety that I would be driving, and all of a sudden this wave would come over me. I'd pull my car over, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? In 40 years, and it's very strange to talk about, because having gone through a lot and done a lot, and not saying this in a braggy type way, but experiencing a lot of emotions, chasing big things all of my life, to then lose the control of the feeling that I've always felt that I have the best control over, as one of the things that, my wife looks at me as one of the pillars of what makes me a good partner is my ability to have a steady hand in the craziest situations. And then all of a sudden to start losing that for a period of time and being like, what the hell's going on? So it was I had to refocus, get back on it, change my lifestyle a little bit, start doing some different things. But it's not about, again, we're all on a different path. We're all going to try to figure it out. We're all going to have those impediments that come in our way. But from a year ago, way happier. And there wasn't any sort of cataclysmic event that triggered it either, which makes you going back to the kids and feeling lost and alone. And if I didn't have people that I could talk to, and I was going to a therapist and talking through it, and it's okay, I figured it out. And now I know what to do. And I have a program in place, and I'm using the operating system that we're talking about as part of it. It's not all of it. I rarely talk about it with other people. If they see the books in the home, we chat about it. The nice, great thing about philosophy, it's meant to be debated. It's meant to be discussed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
again, going back against necessary religion, but the discourse between philosophies. And when you had, Socrates and Zeno as a student, and they would be discussing them all in the town square or the whatever it might be, and like, well, what's your thoughts on this and why and this? That's the beautiful thing about it. It's not stone. It's not set in stone. There's no tablets. So there's always going to be people that weaponize something that's good.
Yep.
And
there are, but we put these things in our lives, like we put these things in our lives, specifically men, right? Like we get to a certain point, which is what I love about Stoicism, which is what I love about your openness to talking about it. I talk about this shit all the time because I think it's fucking awesome. To getting better, right? Learning how to be better at life, learning how to negotiate it in a way where you can be not just productive, but joyful and happy and hopeful. And not have to worry about the dirge, not have to worry about the things that come into your life, because, dude, and that's the other blessing of the time that I'm in my life. The blessing is that you do realize that you are in control of your skill set. You're in control of your emotions. You should be able to learn how to do that. And being able to have those skills now, like if you look back at yourself a year ago, or if I look at myself 4 years ago, I look at this like loose ends, frayed knots, fear, scared. What am I here for? The purpose that I live for is gone. What am I doing? And now I look at life like, you get to do this. You get to redefine your life. You get to have these experiences. You get to experience conflict. You get to go through failure, and you get the handbook as a result. And I never thought like that before. I was just thought because what happens when you fail is you get scared, right? And when you're asking yourself, what am I supposed to be doing here? You have no purpose. So you get to a point where, like you and I, for me, it was 40, 45, like in that time frame, same thing, where you're like, I need to figure this out because I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be angry. I need to know how to negotiate life so that I can be happy and consistent and have a sustainable experience on this planet, dude. Like, and that's the other thing. Nobody knows when it's over, right?
No,
nobody,
totally.
Nobody. Memento
You know what
mori.
I find
we're all
interesting, Jesse,
Totally.
and I haven't really been able to put a finger on why I appreciate how Dean handles this and the conversations that we have had. And just listening to you, I figured out, I think the reason why I'm more comfortable with this conversation than I have been with people outside of this podcast, Stoicism, that is that you're presenting it as a tool, not so much as a solution. Right. Yeah. And I think when you can paint it as this might be something that could help, right? When you paint it as, but often in the health and wellness world that we live in now, where everybody is an expert on how to make you a better person, there's never this conversation about, okay, have you thought about this? This could be something. It's always, I got the answers, and if you send me $5 a month, I'm going to fix you, right? Like, and that's the issue that I have with a lot of these things, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm triggered. Religion is presented to you that way as well. It's not, hey, listen, and you brought up religion like it should be brought up. If that's what you need in your life, and I've been saying this for years, I am very anti-religion. I am not against faith. I've always felt very strongly that people need something to believe in.
I'm against it.
They need something. They need faith. And if they need to believe in the Sky Daddy in the sky, then that is great, fantastic. I just don't think that you and I are going to be able to have a conversation about that. And then I can be friends with you, one of my closest friends in the world. We're about to bring him on. Very religious man. I appreciate the fact that he has faith, and I even respect the fact that he doesn't really anymore sort of live under the umbrella of a religion. He has decided that his faith is important to him. He's maintained that, and he doesn't necessarily choose to put a label on what it is that he believes in. And that's interesting. And I think moving forward, not that I need to give you any advice on how to present this to people.
I'd love to see that.
It doesn't sound like, but it doesn't seem like Jesse is the type of guy that's trying to convert people to his way of thinking.
No, he didn't talk about it. Like you just heard him say he doesn't talk about it, right? And I don't really talk about it either. I'll talk about it, you know, in
it is a tool.
Terms,
but it could be a tool like anything, right? Like
there's lots of different tools. Yeah.
I think one of the things you brought up was really interesting. And I think what people need is purpose. It's not faith, it's purpose. And if religion provides them purpose, faith is the vehicle that allows them to live with purpose in their life. It's just, what is that? What is the purpose? Is it to be a better person, or is it to get into heaven? And then if it's to get in, again, looking at, taking a step back is, everybody needs purpose in life. It's what gets us out of the bed in the morning. Like purpose to choose to do good work, to be a good dad, husband, partner, employee, whatever it might be. That purpose is what drives us to keep going. If we don't have purpose, we just stand still.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
The amazing part is I always thought that purpose was, you're aware of the hedonic treadmill, but I always thought that purpose
hold on.
External.
You don't get to throw that term around and then not explain it.
Hedonic treadmill is a treadmill that you're on where you're looking for external gratification to make you happy. And when you get it, that gratification leaves immediately. It's a psychological certainty. And you do it again and again and again and again. And if you do it enough times, you become an alcoholic at the age of 45 named Dean, who's going, why does everything keep leaving me? Why am I not happy? It's because my intention for happiness was something I couldn't control, right? Like it wasn't inside me. It wasn't internal. It was all external. It can all be taken away on a daily basis, an hourly basis, really. Because we don't control the things that go on around us. We can only control our intentions and ourselves and how we operate.
Do you have to wear pants on that treadmill?
Sometimes, yeah. No, sometimes I do it naked. But it's has that changed for you? And I know we only got a couple minutes. You got a heart out, but has that changed for you too? Because I find that the things that I used to want, I no longer want, and I really want just the things I need. And it's more important for me now that we've achieved some kind of success in a sustainable industry, that I'm happy to enjoy what comes with it, right? Because back in the day, I don't know if you had these days or moments where you're like, I worked so hard for X, I got X, now what the fuck am I going to do, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it happened a couple times, especially like when you get injured. It's like, oh my God, now what? Am I replaceable? This, that, and everything else. I think
huge crash, isn't it? Massive crash.
Yeah,
mental
totally. Crash. Well, even, I mean, just to speak on that very briefly, is like Olympic athletes train for their entire lives for one moment, and even if they don't win, or if they do win, the amount of Olympic medalists that go through a period of depression once they've come back from the games and they're home and the honeymoon has worn off is staggering. Because every day for however long they've lived with purpose in their lives to achieve a goal, they've achieved that goal, and then there's nothing there in front of them unless they're going to continue on. I still have external goals. I still have, like, it's not all about, you don't see me in a robe. I'm not sitting on a rock somewhere just thinking about why, it's
with a chalice of wine.
Yeah. I want to be successful. I want to do good things. I want to do cool shit still. Yeah, for sure. I've done a lot. I feel very grateful, but it doesn't.
But when you're happy, right? Like when you're happy and you're sustainably happy, and you have tools to deal with the day for the rest of your life if you stay in the stuff, that success means something. You can enjoy it, And I heard Jay Shetty say this once, and it's a great podcast. If you don't listen to it, Jay Shetty said, you can have all the zeros on your paycheck, but if you're not happy, there's no ones or twos, right? Yeah. It's just the way it works. You can still be externally motivated to go and do things, to accomplish things. But, dude, great point, and really appreciated having you on today. Sorry we didn't get to the lady who got eaten by the lion in a big game park, and I apologize we didn't.
Can we?
Do you have time? Do you have time?
You know what? Yeah. Just give me a sec here. Okay.
Email somebody because you're a big outdoorsman, and this video went nuts. By the way, over the past couple of days, Locke, have you seen this? This is in China. It's at the Bada Bing Wildlife Park or something. I can't remember.
This one's tough, Jess.
Yeah,
like a lot of times I cheer for the animals. Most times, I don't know. This one was really hard to watch.
Well, I didn't see the video.
Oh, dude, yeah, let's watch it. I mean, you've been to an African lion safari, right? You've been to the one down here in Southern Ontario. You've gone through with your dad's truck because you didn't want to take your own car because you knew a monkey was going to shit on the top. It's a rite of passage.
I got a great African lion story after this. Please remind me to tell you. Please. Anyway,
the video is like 15 seconds, Jess.
But I put this video out and I'm like, hey, everybody, just a quick reminder, stay in your car at the African lion safari because this happened. Let's watch it together. This is in China. Woman gets out of her car. She apparently mad at her husband. You can see her go across to the other side. She starts yelling at him. He opens the door. He's like, get back in. This is a lion park. And here we go. And he drags the woman in. He thinks about it for a second. Then he gets out. And then he goes into the woods. And then the mom in the back, she runs after the daughter. And here come the park rangers. This was 2016. That was in 2016.
Yep.
She died, by the way.
She should have chosen to react differently in the car to whatever was going on.
She could have chosen her reaction. She chose wrong. That's why it's important to choose right all the time. It's like,
okay, we need your lion story, Jess.
No, but my point is this: is that what the fuck? Like, who gets out of the car in one of those parks? Have you ever seen anybody get out of the car in one of those parks? Like, there's a sign in front of the park that said, hey, don't get out of your car, whatever you do. And the second they get into the park, if you've been to the African lion safari, every 5 feet, it's don't open your window. Don't feed the animals. Don't get out. And people are still doing it. And part of me doesn't even feel bad for the people. Like, the one woman died, was eaten, like half of her was eaten. The mom was eaten. That's a terrible story. But I'm like, and then people were shitting all over me. I'm like, take that down. I'm like, no, this is a cautionary tale. Don't get out of your car in a fucking African lion safari, Jesse.
Yes, I think that's really good sound advice for the overall audience. Just one of those things that, even Locke, you and I are quite close to Banff, and the wildlife that's in Banff, like grizzlies, elk, like bighorn sheep, and people are like, let's get out and go approach the giant animal that's trying to get to the female with 6 blades on his head and see if we can take a picture next to it. That makes sense to me. It just, the grizzly bear, like, if you want to just watch that video again, if you need a reminder, that cat grabbed that 100+ pound woman and dragged it like it was a rag doll.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We don't respect Mother Nature, Jesse. There's a segment of society that does not care. As a hunter, you do, right? You respect the animals. You respect the wildlife.
I came across a grizzly this year hunting, and I came up over a crest, and I was downwind of it, so the wind was coming uphill to I was downwind of it. So as soon as I came up over this crest, I see a bear stand up and look right in my direction because my scent was blowing straight to him. And I was like, see ya, bye. And this was probably 400 yards away. And this grizzly winded me from that far away. So I just go back over the crest, downhill, walk across the wind so I get out of the wind, and then just try to keep my eye on it so I can get the hell out of there, out of the area. I don't understand why you would want to get any closer. Like, it's just, those things are killing machines.
And you had a gun.
Well,
and you had a fucking gun.
Oh, with me. I had my bow.
Sorry, you're a real man. I forgot. Dude, I always forget you're a real man every time we talk.
Talking to real man. I gun hunt as well. It was bow season. I had my bow with me. It's just one of those things that,
you got to be a pretty good shot to take down a grizzly with a bow.
I want the African lion.
You got to be.
But like,
I want the African lion safari story. I want it.
It's not like anything dangerous. I think I was there for my 11th birthday. Okay. And it was when we had the Polaroid cameras, not Polaroid. What were the yellow ones that you essentially, the disposable
Kodak
disposable camera.
Yeah.
I was taking pictures, and I go get my pictures printed in Walmart or whatever, and come back, and I'm looking through the pictures, and I realized that one of the pictures that I took, which was a monkey on the hood of our car, there was also a second and 2 other monkeys there, with the one bent over and the other one entering the other monkey.
Just pounding away
while looking directly into my lens. And I still have it somewhere. It's one of those.
You got to save that.
Yeah, monkey porn, Jess. That's awesome.
It's just you never know what you're gonna get. And I can only imagine with the people printing that. It's like,
Yeah.
there it is.
They're like, this is Neil Lumsden's kid.
Hey, like, are we allowed to print this? Is this okay?
One of the greatest football players ever. His 11-year-old is in Walmart. He's got a bunch of monkey porn on a disposable camera.
Do you have my pictures, sir? I'd like to see my pictures, please.
Yeah, that's good. I like that one. Jess, great to see you, buddy. Thanks so much for popping in. I know you're in the financial industry now. Is that why? Is that
technology? So for financial technology. So working
fintech. Is that what they call it? Fintech?
Yeah, sure. You can call it fintech.
You're in fintech? Yeah.
Yeah. We're building a digital financial institution in Canada, Neo. So it's pretty cool. We're doing some good stuff. It's
dude, I see your ads all the time on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's us. So I've been with the company for just over 3 years now. We've been around for 4. Got 1 million customers across Canada, which is great. We got better products than the big 5 and doing some
we have a business and we're looking for a bank.
We're not in the commercial space yet. Yeah, we're not in the commercial space yet, but at some point we'll be there.
Well, I might need a new bank. Maybe we should do something together.
We should. Neo. Why not?
I'd like to do that. Let's do it. I'm in. Fintech. Let's do it. It's fucking funny. Eh? All the athletes, they get into like fintech and stuff like that when they're done their careers. They're like, guys come up to him and like, you look like you know math. Get in here. And Jesse's one of those. You don't?
No, that's not my area.
Oh, you're the customer service guy. They send you in a hot suit to woo all the people because you're 6'5" and built like a brick shithouse. I get it.
I do what I can. I just try. If I got to sweep the floors, that's what I got to do.
Oh boy, thanks for doing this, dude. Great to see you.
Great seeing you guys. And if you want to chat again, let me know.
Oh, we do, because we didn't get to half the stuff, and I know you got to roll because you work in fintech.
You made Dean's day.
Totally,
he's all
my
about,
day too.
Yeah,
all about talking about this.
I just wanted to hang out with Jess. I emailed him last week, and I'm like, "Hey, you want to come on, have some fun, talk stoicism, dick around a little bit?" Yep. And he's like, I call him Big Cat, and he calls me Big Stick. And I'm like, you in, Big Cat? He goes, you got it, Big Stick. And I'm like, fuck, okay, let's go have some fun. You have to come back, though, because I miss you. Love having you on. I love chopping it up with you all the time. You're rock solid. You're one of the few good people I know. So, and I don't know many anymore. They've all gone.
Locke seems pretty decent, too.
He's okay. He's got his moments.
I have my moments, yeah.
He's got his moments. At Jesse.Lumsden on Instagram. Jesse Lumsden 28 on Twitter. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Take care.
Jesse
Lumsden. Just an all-around good guy. Just one of the nicest human beings.
Great guy. Oh my God. Solid.
I struggle because I see guys like him, and he is like, I mean, when you talk, when the old saying like, oh, that guy's so stoic. He was very stoic about it. Yeah. It's got this bad like connotation where it's like emotionless. That might be the happiest guy. Like just wraps you up in a bear hug when he sees you. So genuine and authentic. Wants good things for people around him. So successful in his career. Multiple Olympian. One of the greatest football players to ever come out of Canada. And he could be one of the nicest, most rock solid men I know. Just a great guy.
We were talking about Groundhog Day. We were talking about Bill Murray this morning. And that was one of the more disappointing things I learned because I've always been this huge Bill Murray fan. I loved him on Saturday Night Live. Caddyshack is one of my favorite movies. His speech about the Dalai Lama. So I got that going for me. It's so, and he's doing the close talk. Yeah. It just so many brilliant things he's done comedically over the years. And then to find out he's a raging dick, it's just like,
is he really? It. Is that the book on him? He's a cock.
Bit of a slimer. Anyway, that's come out recently that he was he's a bit of a tool. He's mean. He was mean to other actors and actresses and stuff like that. Maybe some insecurity things, right?
So you never want to meet your heroes, right?
Well, yeah, but there's the opposite of that, right? When you meet a guy and you don't have any expectations and he's just a solid freaking dude, right? Like
Yeah.
Jesse's that guy. He's just
You know
a
what
good human
Do
being.
you know what I love about people like him? And before we get to James P. White, we're going to talk about Pink Shirt Day, Groundhog Day too. It's Groundhog Day today, which is the most pointless day of the year. I think it's the dumbest shit ever. I had to look into it to fucking figure out what Groundhog Day was all about, and I'm like, really? This is why we do this? This is so crazy.
People love
you know what
ceremony. It is? That's what it is. It's all it is. It's always been
for rodents. It's like Richard Gere's favorite day. What's amazing to me is how many guys aren't willing to be vulnerable about being happy or unhappy, or not having like a clue, right? An emotional or mental clue on how to deal with bad things, hard things. And it's amazing how many fucking guys are jammed up right now. Men specifically. And I know, and I'm not disregarding women. I'm not saying, oh, women aren't jammed. Everyone's jammed up right now.
Yeah.
But it never ceases to amaze me how many people live in their wrongness, live in their misery, live in their complaining, live in their anger, and refuse to do anything about it. I have a friend. Actually, this is a female. Complains all the time about a bunch of different stuff in her life. And I remember saying to her, well, have you tried to get help? No. Really? Are you just going to complain about life all the time? And you're not going to go bother trying to understand it and trying to be better in it? Right? It's fucking wild. And authentic people have the ability to be vulnerable to say, I got to fucking figure this out because I'm wrong, right? Like I'm in a bad spot. I'm in a tough spot. Yeah. And I think that that's the incredible part about guys like him or guys like you or other people is that self-awareness of, yeah, you know what? I should probably
What's my role in this?
Yeah. It's what's my role in my life or my problems and how can I be my best advocate? And that is counseling, learning, putting your hand up, asking for help because there's nothing more courageous. Quitting is not doing that. Quitting is staying in your misery.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed at how many people are willing to do that in 2023. I am shocked.
I think everybody needs to find their. I'm the avoid counseling thing too, right? Which and so I found it wildly entertaining when Lynn's made that crack a couple of days ago about why men have started doing podcasts because they're avoiding therapy, which is kind of true.
It is true.
I called you yesterday and we had a good conversation about something that I did yesterday. I went ape shit on Jimmy. And what I did at the end of it was I'm not excusing his role in my anger or excusing what he did. And I'm not a big proponent of apologizing, but I did say to you, Dean, I said, I'm trying to figure out why I get so mad by his stupidity. Right. And I think that's the difference of Lachlan at 50-ish and Lachlan at 40, 30, 20. Right. Now
you didn't care if it was your problem too.
I blamed everyone else for my anger because everyone else was the problem. And now I'm
pisses
like,
you off.
Yeah. I mean, the level of anger that I had and the idea of the violence that I wanted to inflict on my little buddy James P. White yesterday is unbalanced. It was not an appropriate response to what he did.
Let's bring him into the show. He joins us now. James P. White, ladies and gentlemen. Did you like that? Was the softest apology you might ever get from him, by the way, Jimmy.
Typical.
That is apology. The closest thing to an apology I've ever got from him in the 10 plus years we've known each other.
How does it feel? Feel good?
No, it wasn't good enough.
See, that's what Jimmy does.
Yeah. And then you know what Lachlan does? Because he's like me. He's like, okay, I know how to play this game. I'm going to dig in with both feet and I'm going to ruin your life for about 72 hours. So that's how this works, Jimmy. You can become a better person too. You know that.
No, he's not. It's not 72 hours with him. It's at least a week.
Does he freeze you out for a week if he's pissed off? No, I'm asking questions. Does he freeze you off? Does he freeze you out when he's pissed off at you? Like he's like, I'm not talking to you.
No, he reminds me of how I angered him at least for a week.
What do you do that pisses him off? Okay, so let's get it from your mouth. What do you do that pisses off Lachlan? What is it that he says you do that drives him crazy enough to treat?
This should be a bowl of fruit.
Actually, what it is and he can attest to this, and he will agree with me. If anything stupid can go wrong when I'm doing something, it happens.
Yeah. And would you take
stuff,
some accountability in some of those stupid things?
Yes.
Okay.
Because some of the stupid things that do happen, I have no idea how I did it. Like, it's just, I'm like, what the hell did, like the
part of the conflict I have with Jimmy is
the best.
A lot
I
of
got no idea
a
what
lot
happened.
of the show is Jimmy being presented with a task, and then we never know what's going to happen, and then it's awesome content, and it always results in some level of humor. So I don't want him to change, right? But there are moments where it does drive me absolutely insane that if I've given him a task, I'll give you an example.
Yes.
So Jimmy, one day we were on the air and we were talking about what's the game with the ping pong balls?
Beer pong.
And we were playing beer pong when we were down in Sandals. And there was a couple of people around the table that were like, I've never played beer pong. And we're like, what? How is it possible that you've never played?
Christians?
I don't know. It surprised me. So we got into the surprise of what it was that beer pong, what was and where it came from. And so I've got Jimmy. I'm like, Jimmy, Google, where did it come from? Like when? Because I've been playing this game my whole damn life, right?
Yeah.
So he Googles it and he goes, 1823. And we're like, what? Grant and I are like, 1823? Like, and he found some joke fake article about the beginning of beer pong. And we're like, that's wrong. And he's like, it's right here. Now he's mad at us because we're questioning this just stupid thing that he just said. I mean, what did they play it with, rocks? Like what? Like we're so you can't buy. You can't buy that. Like you can't pay for that. You can't before you go on the air. You can't have a conversation with. And that's the beauty of our show is that it is very natural and organic in that way. We just present something to Jimmy and it turns out Jimmy. And then we can have some fun with it. The problem is that this guy is a 48-year-old man and I'm still questioning how he functions from day to day. And as a friend of his, I do have concerns that he's not changing.
Right.
Like, there's very little growth as a human being from our little buddy, James P. White.
Is that true, James? Have you experienced any personal growth over the past several years, or are you stagnating?
I don't know. I grow in some things, and then there's stuff I just...
His beer belly.
Don't care. Stuff you just don't care about.
We talked about this week. I lost some weight over the last month or so bite me.
That's because you're not hanging out with Army Chris anymore. And that will probably save your life, too.
But he loves you, dude. I'll tell you this. That guy loves you. That guy in the middle, Jimmy, Lachlan Cross, every time I talk to him, talks about how much he loves you. And he's been working his ass off trying to get this thing underway on the 22nd of this month. Pink Shirt Day. This was last year. We did February 23rd. This year, we're doing February the 22nd. James P. White will be your host. And we are bringing in an all-new selection of people. The lovely Jen Valentine has agreed to be on the show with us this year. Not only Jen Valentine, who's experienced very publicly talked about bullying and the harassment that took its toll on her
workplace, which is interesting. That'll be an interesting conversation.
Absolutely, right? Because it starts the school and makes its way there, right? Like it's a fucking big deal. And then we've got Kareem Assad, who experiences all kinds of online harassment and bullying, and you yourself have experienced bullying, but this is really from you. This is your gift that you give to people. And if you go to the description of the podcast, you can not only buy a shirt to support this because Kids Help Phone has jumped on, but Pink Shirt Day is about you going into classrooms virtually, and we're working with your employer, lovely people at Harvard. Zoe's done an amazing job, by the way. that we're going to be working with you on doing Pink Shirt Day again this year, but we're going to do it in more classrooms. I think we were around 70, 80 last year. We're going to have a sign-up sheet, which will be launching, I believe, tomorrow or Monday at the latest.
We can actually get people signed up right now.
Okay.
Jimmy can send them a link.
Yeah.
We'll have a landing page, and we'll be able to send people to a landing page. But if you know anyone that might be interested in this individually because of something that they're going through at work, or their kids are going through at school, if you know a teacher or somebody that works in the teaching profession that you think might be interested in this, get a hold of Jimmy through Twitter or email. We can even maybe get somebody to post. Ashley, can you post Jimmy's email up? Jimmy at 957cruisefm.ca in the comments section, or somehow I don't know how to do that.
Jimmy
you
at
can send him a note directly.
cruisefm.ca. Yeah,
Jimmy at 957cruisefm.ca. Yes. We're starting a list of people that would like to join us on that day, and there is no boundaries on this. You can be in BC, Tuktoyaktuk. I don't care where the hell you are. We can send you a link and you can watch this. It'll be interactive, and Jimmy does an unbelievable job. It's just so you guys know, this isn't something that we just started doing. The year that I met Jimmy, I got him on and we talked about Pink Shirt Day. And so we've been doing this for 10 years, and it started very small and we never thought to change it. But Jimmy would go to classrooms every year, and he would hit a couple of schools, and he has a little presentation that he does in front of the kids, and he would do that. And then he would talk to the kids about bullying. And that's what it was. Then COVID hit. And I remember we sat down and we were like, how do we do this? Like, there's got to be a way you can get in front of these kids. And so we did a Zoom thing, and we were like, holy shit. I said to Jimmy at the end of it, I said, you just had probably 400 or 500 kids you just talked to. I said, I know how much you love going to the schools and interacting with the kids, but we have to do it this way again. And then it's just grown. So I think this is our third or fourth year doing it on Zoom or virtually, like Dean said.
This is the third.
Yeah. And what Crier Media has done is it's allowed us now. It's on steroids now. We did it with a Zoom thing last time. Like, we just sent everybody a link. Now we're doing it like this, live with a podcast, with a panel. We've got, like Dean said, we got some panelists that are going to tell their story, and then
and Valentine, Kareem Assad. Yep.
And then Ali Khan from
Kids
Help Phone.
Yeah. And
Yes.
Kids, which is huge. Like, you
That's
know,
awesome.
you started this 10 years ago and just were farting around going into classrooms trying to, save some kids from bullying because it was important to you. And we'll get to your story in just a second. Consider this, though, dude. Right? Jimmy, think about this.
Yeah.
You're going to have hundreds of classrooms. It's sponsored by your incredible company, Harvard Broadcasting. It is also been supported and sponsored by Kids Help Phone and Pink Shirt Day. And this is all because you want to help other kids. You want to tell them the importance of why you shouldn't bully others. And your story is one of the more egregious bullying stories I've ever heard. I mean, you grew up as a little person in a small town in southern Alberta, right, Jimmy?
Yeah. And like I was bullied all the time, but what's a great thing about Pink Shirt Day for me personally is it's over the years given me the opportunity of reflecting on my life and what I've been through, being bullied, being put in a hospital, all that kind of stuff. I had, when I was in grade 5, I had 2 girls. One grabbed this arm, one grabbed that arm, and they dislocated my wrist, elbow, and shoulder in both arms. I was stuffed in a locker upside down. But one thing that I've learned with Pink Shirt Day is I even talked to my mom about it. And she's like, you didn't want help when you were younger. You wanted to figure it out on your own. Kids Help Phone was around then, and I didn't want to deal with them. I didn't want to deal with the Little People's Association. I didn't want to deal with, disability organizations
Why?
or any of that stuff.
What's the reasoning? Is it embarrassment? Like what prevented you back then from calling Kids Help phone, asking for help?
Wildly proud.
That, and I truly believed, and I still do to this day, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not different than anybody else. I'm short. Why do I want to, be totally focused on being the victim, being like that? This is how I thought back then. And I was very proud, and like I didn't want to have anything to do with the Little People's Association. I thought they were whiners. And I said to myself, I can do it on my own. I can do this.
Uh-huh.
It was the worst way of thinking.
But it did shape you, Jimmy. And I'm not gonna jump in and try to tell Jimmy's story, but I know enough about his upbringing to know that how he was raised by his parents, and his father in particular, Jim, I think is a big part of the reason why Jimmy is as proud and stubborn as he is, because his old man, I mean, he tells stories. His old man used to make him at a very young age, when Jimmy was like, I can't get the cereal. And his old man would yell at him, you're getting it. Find a way.
You're not eating.
Yeah. So he would put Jimmy to the test, right? And let Jimmy find a chair, climb up, and get on the counters to grab a box of Cheerios or cornflakes or whatever it was. And, and I think that's a big part of it. And you know what? Listen, I understand now you're looking back at what you went through, and you're having a change of heart about finding ways to let kids know that it's okay to ask for help. But at the same time, you would not be the person you are today if your parents, and your dad in particular, hadn't raised you the way you are, right? Like the way they did. And so it shaped you, which is a good thing.
But the difference is between not asking for help and what I did is I could have asked for help to figure out a way that I could help myself. Not ask for help and ask somebody to fix it for me. Yeah, please stop that kid from picking on me. Please, stuff like that. If that wasn't the help I'm talking about, it's that you're not alone. If I had someone to talk to, someone for me to know that it wasn't my fault, that it's, I'm not alone. I can have someone to talk to, a sounding board, things like that. Not just, okay, I'm going to do it on my own. And I was in junior high. It slowed down in high school. I was very depressed. I had very few friends. I, was in a tough spot many times, and I didn't talk to anybody. Some of the stuff that happened to me, my parents didn't even know. I was afraid to tell them because I didn't want them to be scared for me. I didn't want them to be upset by what was happening. And I was trying to handle it all on my own. And it was tough. Yes, it's shaped who I am now, but you don't have to. If you want to do it on your own, all power to you. But if people need to know, you have the option of asking for help.
Well, okay, and so that their story isn't so unique, right? Like that
there's the strength, right? Like in talking to other people, you realize you're not alone in how you're being treated. Number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you realize that someone else who's been treated that way may have found ways to deal with it, might have resources, right? And it's the same reason why when alcohol, and it's a terrible example, alkies get into the basements of churches for AA meetings, and they look around and they're like, oh my God, thank you. There's people here just as miserable as me, and they've got answers. Right?
But it's also someone to talk to, like-minded people that went through some of the same things.
Okay, but you said earlier, hang on, but you said earlier that it's the worst thing to do not to talk to somebody when you're being bullied and you're depressed and you're a kid, right?
Yes.
And you wished you would have. I agree with Locke, and I'm thankful that you've got the self-awareness to go, yeah, it has made me who I am, and there's no going back. But had I known what I know now,
it shaped him.
Yeah, but what is it now that you know, and you're talking about how important it is to have community when you're sad and when you're depressed and you're going through shitty things like bullying and harassment and all that other stuff, people making you feel bad about yourself every day, people driving home the narrative about yourself that isn't true because you know you. But what is it that you wished you would have done then that you didn't do, and what are you going to be telling these kids about how important that is?
The main thing is asking for help. Like the thing is when I started to in high school, when I started talking to my teachers, when I started talking to my parents, when I started talking to new friends, it helped me in a way to realize that I'm not that bad of a guy. I used to think I was a piece of crap because people made me feel like I was a second grade citizen. I was a mutant, if a freak, things like that. And it's not true. And I started believing their lies, and then having people reassure me, you're not different. You're okay the way you are. That's what helped me, is not believing the bull.
Mm-hmm. And when you have people telling you all the time, right? Like that's the negative reinforcement. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
We see it all the time on social media. If you could negatively enforce something long enough, a group of people will believe it. And when you're in high school, junior high, it's a war. It's a perception war. But clicks and groups also, and all the other bullshit. So the work that you're doing, Jimmy, trying to get people to talk, is incredible. Like I've got a kid in high school. Everybody else is out, university, whatever. And the stories he tells me about what goes on in school, and he's popular, he's liked, he's a smart kid, he's a good athlete, but he's super empathetic, right? And he'll come home and he'll tell me what high school is like. And I'm like, dude, if you can survive high school,
yeah,
you can survive anything, right? If you can get through that fucking cauldron of hatred and perception and kids telling you through their parents how life works and what you're worth and what you're not worth and who's important and who isn't. If you can get through that, right? If you can get through school and if you can get through your parents' psychopathy and make it to 18, you know how many people are set up with PTSD, anxiety, and this view of themselves that is so fucking wrong. Like it's just crazy to me that people, because we've been, dude, Locke, you've done it. I've done it. We've been in high school. You can talk about the kind of person you were you popular, were you not, all that stuff, but you've seen those people get, and I've bullied those people. I've treated those people poorly. And we got this fucking beautiful man sitting in front of us telling stories about having his arms almost ripped off in elementary school, being stuffed in lockers, being hospitalized because he was different. He wasn't up to snuff for some people in that class. And you know what? This is the message that everybody needs to fucking hear in their junior years. It's not only is it wrong to do it, like we're talking about solutions on how to deal with it after people say stuff to you. You want to attack the problem by telling the people that are doing it, no. This is the end result of your bullying. This is what happens. And it's followed me around my whole life. Dude, we're all defined. I'm still defined by things that happened to me in junior high. Like literally memories, terrible memories of being bullied or being harassed or beat up by a group of guys. And you're like, fuck, and then being popular was so important to me that, you move around and you go through schools and you're like, you have no idea who you are, but you believe the things that people have said about you, right? You believe it. Like you take them in, you internalize them. And none of those things are true. Are you a little bit of a goofy bastard? For sure. You're just shorter than all of us. That's pretty much it, right? That's it.
I've explained Jimmy this way to people. One thing, too, I will say, the thing that is interesting about the conversation, the Pink Shirt Day conversation, is not only do you get to hear other people's stories and that we've got Kids Help Phone involved and they'll give you some resources, and anybody, you don't even need to be a school to jump in. If you guys, if you guys, anybody watching right now wants to join us, send Jimmy a note. He'll hook you up, and he just needs an email address from you, and we'll send you the link the day of. The thing that's interesting thing is the empathy that that Jimmy has developed over the years for the people that bully, which, you know, to this day still keeps in contact with one of the guys that put him in the hospital, right? He's friendly with this individual, learn to forgive him. So Jimmy's understanding of what happened to him as a kid has also grown into understanding why the other people might have been doing it, and being aware that they might have been going through some shitty stuff as well, which is interesting. I think it just speaks to what kind of a person Jimmy is as well. But the thing that I've explained to people about Jimmy is because people have commented, we have a show, we have fun. Dean, you understand the structure of what it is that we do, right? Yeah. And we've got myself, you got the dick dork deer theory, and we have the dick. Surprise, surprise. We have the deer, Grant, and we have the dork. Jimmy plays the dork on our program.
Well,
okay?
I don't care how tall he is or isn't. The Star Wars paraphernalia behind him insinuates huge dork.
And I've said this to people forever.
Sorry.
Jimmy just happens to be 4 feet tall. If he was 6'8"
He'd be
and 350 pounds, he would still be playing the same role on our show. It's who he is.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think let me ask you this. Do you like
thing,
that, though? You like that, Jimmy, right? That's normal to you. Like, that's like, hey, fuck, at least I know I'm getting what at least you're treating me normally. You're not after me because of my dwarfism, right?
Yeah, like but the thing, though, is some of my, as Locke puts it, dork character is also, I don't care. So I do things like, whereas, a lot of people, they do dorky things, but don't tell people. They do dorky things and keep it secret. Yeah. I don't care if people think I'm a dork. So me doing dorky things like dressing up as a leprechaun on St. Paddy's Day, dressing up like a woman and walking down White Avenue to get people to catcall me, dressing up as Santa Claus, doing stupid things. And if I didn't like that dork personality, I wouldn't do that stuff. I wouldn't.
You're comfortable with yourself. Yeah, you have no ego. You're the most egoless person
humility
I've ever met in my life. And the humility and the vulnerability you have is your superpower, dude. It really is, because it gives you a job. It gives you friends. It makes you.
It allows you to put up with my bullshit.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Well. Like, I know it goes both ways here, Jimmy. I do. I really do. Before I let you go, Pink Shirt Day, February 22nd. You have to get a hold of JP White. Follow him on Twitter at JPWhite957. He's a bit of a hero and a legend in these anti-bullying communities. What do you want out of this Pink Shirt Day? Like, what is your goal? Other than raising money for Kids Help Phone and awareness for young men and women who need help. Because there's got to be a personal thing here for you too, right?
Not really. Just educating people and letting them know they're not alone.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's not about what I'm getting out of it. It's what I've been through other people can get out of it.
Value.
Like things that people can learn. Either, people that have been bullied, people that have bullied, people that are dealing with cyberbullying. Because that's one thing about when I grew up, there was no cell phones, there was no Facebook, there was no, we had one computer for the entire school. So when I went home from school, I wasn't bullied anymore. Like, unless I went out in public and, hung around people, which I
now
never
people
did.
Can't get away from it, right? Phones and schools and shit.
And
holy shit.
Mental health with kids is a huge thing. And what I think with Pink Shirt Day, and this is why I want to encourage everybody to let anybody they know that might be interested in joining that pal, the more the merrier, is the idea that we're able to have a conversation about it, right? Yeah. And you're going to hear some interesting stories, and that there are ways of handling it. And you know what? The interesting thing about bullying is we see examples of it, and people are dealing with bullying outside of high school too. It's not just so having the tools.
Have you seen my Twitter feed?
Yeah.
Have you seen my Twitter feed? I get told to die. I'm useless. I suck. I'm a cock, a cuck. I get told. I mean, I don't even look at that as bullying though. Like at this stage of my life, I'm 49. I look at that as when I see bullying, I'm like, oh, you're mentally unwell and wrapped up in like a sea of chaos in your weird head. And that's got to suck. More power to you. I know you're miserable. So I ignore it. But when you're 13, 12, 14, 15, right? Or even like your 20s, 30s, and someone says something to you and you're like, no, you can't treat me like that. You can't talk about, well, yeah, fuck, everybody can. It's incumbent upon you to learn how to fucking deal with it is what it is.
The funny thing is it still happens to me now, bullying. And I'm not talking the bullshit on our show where we're joshing each other. That has nothing to do with it. We talked about this on the show. I think it was last week, where I got on the bus and I was sitting on the bus. I take the bus every morning. And this guy got on the bus, pointed at me and said, hey, isn't he supposed to be on the handy bus? Don't know the guy. Never seen him before in my life. And he
was
pointed
angry
at
for
me,
Jimmy being on the bus.
And isn't he supposed to be on the handy bus? And the bus driver says he takes the bus every day and he's okay on here. You don't have to be on here. And the guy got off and waited for the next bus.
Bet you that felt good. I bet you revenge.
And
That probably felt great, huh?
And the best thing is it was all his choice. It wasn't like he was forced. He's like, you don't have to be on the bus. So we got off, waited 15 minutes for the next bus in -20.
I still would have preferred a better ending to that. And I did talk to Jimmy about taking his pocket knife, which he carries for protection, and before that guy getting off the bus, stabbing him in the ass. And I know that we're not supposed to condone violence, but I would have been okay with him doing that, and would have celebrated it.
But the thing
just
is,
don't say a word to him. Just walk up and go.
Just quick shiv. Yeah.
Shane. But no, I can't.
What a cock, eh?
But
I can't believe that happened. And it's just some dude in Edmonton's like, hey, the short guy needs to get off the bus because he's supposed to be on a short bus.
Dude, once and then he's like, Jimmy has an altercation like that.
I don't want to fucking be on the same bus with him either because he's too short for me. So I'll wait in -30-degree weather for the next one for 15 minutes.
At 5 o'clock in the morning.
I know, but again, that just leans into the idea that, hey, listen, when someone does that, watch the decision they make next because they're just a huge dick, right? They're just, they're just so wrapped up in poison in their head. That's you know what the fucking funny part is? I laugh at those people now. I laugh at all of them when they make those decisions. It still
would have been funnier if he would have been waiting for the next bus, bleeding though. That would have been funnier to me.
See, that's why you weren't allowed to teach your kids on how to deal with bullies.
That's right,
Lachlan.
Yeah.
I actually did tell my daughter one time she was having a problem with a girl at school, and I told her, I said, tomorrow, this is at dinner time. Tomorrow, I said, go to school, walk up to her at recess, and punch her right square in the mouth. And my wife was like, you cannot send your daughter to school. And I said, yes, I can. And I was like, go do it. Do it. And my daughter was like, are you okay with this? And I'm like, yes, I will completely deal with all the ramifications of you punching that girl right square in the mouth. I'll talk to her parents. I'll go to school. I'll do it all. Go to school. My wife's like, this is not happening. Stop it. That was why I probably wasn't allowed to parent.
Probably. That was the last time that the girl started listening to him.
Yeah. But that was like, it's always a stressful conversation to have with your kids, Lock, where they're like, this kid's mean to me. And you love your kids so much. You protect your kids so much. And then you know the kids at school. You're like, and I've done the same thing where you look down, you're like, hey, dude, listen, when the teacher's not looking, this is important. Smash that little fucker right in the head with like a textbook or something. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Then out of nowhere you hear, that's a terrible idea. You're like, well, she's probably right. But
I can tell you by experience, that's a terrible idea.
Did your dad tell you to go and punch a bully in the face and you did it? And you got punched
actually a friend did. So the guy stuffed me in a locker. I got out the next day. He didn't see me coming. I came running and I got him full speed right in the nuts. And then I got beat up. And
Took a beating. Yeah.
got
Jimmy, I took a number of beatings in high school as well. I did not fight well. I've never been a good fighter, but I stood in there. I stood in there.
I'm the dirtiest. It's like there are no rules when you're fighting somebody. Which is understandable.
It's hard to be dirty when you're on the ground bleeding, though. Like that was my problem.
When you're unconscious.
And it's also, really hard to fight back when someone stuffs you in a Rubbermaid garbage can and rolls you down a couple flights of stairs.
The problem with Jimmy was
it's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Jimmy would fight back, and then like 3 or 4 other guys would jump in. So then not only is he a little bit smaller than the other guy he's fighting, but now he's got 3 guys piling on him. Like
there's more of them.
But a funny story dealing with that is after I got beat up to the point of being put in the hospital, because it was like around May, so I still had to go back for tests and stuff like that. After I had the surgery, having the shunt put in, so I had scars all over my head. I had half my head shaved, and I went to school that way. And I actually gained a lot of respect from people that I did that, for one. And things started to turn around. And then some of the people that used to bully me still did, but then a bunch of other people would stand up for me and go, no. Like one guy.
You know what it is? I think people.
Hang on, I want to finish that story. Let Jimmy finish that story. One guy, what? What did he say?
One guy, he slapped me. So I slapped him back. He was sitting in his desk. I slapped him back. He got up, and a couple of his buddies got up to tune me in. The whole football team stood up in the back row and said, no, you guys are sitting down. It's them too. And the guy just kind of looked like someone just kicked him in the face, and he sat down and never said a word to me after.
God bless the football team sometimes, huh? Sorry, Luck, go ahead.
A big part of the reason why people gravitate towards Jimmy, and he's such a likable guy, is that he is so real, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
authentic.
He is very authentic, and that's why I think he does so well in what we do, because he's just Jimmy, right? There is no hiding it. It doesn't matter if he's behind a mic or in front of a camera. You get what you get from this little shit, and it's just pure Jimmy, right? And that's why I said to you, like, he angers me. We're like brothers, so he'll drive me crazy. He'll do something stupid, and I'll get mad. But there's always that piece of me that's like, hey, but that's him. Like we wouldn't have half the damn content we have on the show if he didn't bring that to us on a fairly regular basis, right?
Remember that. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
My favorite part about yesterday, looking at it back with him freaking out at me, yelling and swearing, and I'm swearing back at him, saying, go F yourself, and we're screaming back and forth while we're in the studio, and Grant's just sitting in the corner going,
giggling,
going, I don't...
He loves
you could see the look on his, but we were yelling so loud and so mad at each other that he almost looked awkward. He was like,
well, he doesn't like when mom and dad are fighting. Like Grant's that kid, right?
Yeah. Well, dude, he called me after your fight, and he told me all about your fight, and he was very self-aware about that fight. He was like, fuck, what do I do? Like, why do I get so mad? I want to get so mad at this guy. I love him so much. And I'm like, it's because he does dumb shit, but you got to take the good with the bad. And he's like, I know. Because you're right. You and Lachlan said that. I mean, and this is kind of the part and parcel, right, for everybody, is that we only look at the things that they do that piss us off. We don't look at the 40,000 other fucking beautiful parts of individuals, right? We don't look at the good things that they do in those moments. We always look at the things like the emails that were sent to the wrong people, or reply all. By the way, I went through that email today. There are 4,000 replies on that. And that is all Lachlan's fault. He is the reply all guy. I know he's doing it on purpose. Anyway, long story short, taking the whole person's like the fucking best part of people, right? Like, just that's why Jimmy is like, look at him. Look at this beautiful man sitting on the podcast. Our comment section is on fire with people telling me he's beautiful. Guys saying I identify with your story because he's, as you point out, dude, just Jimmy. But all of Jimmy is what makes him so special. And I don't mean that in any negative sense whatsoever.
Like back when Locke and I were at the Bear, I think we were it was either Black Sabbath or an Aussie concert. I was walking up, I was at the bar, going to get beer. He was standing at the table, waiting for me to bring beer, even though I was being paid minimum wage, and he wasn't.
I remember this.
Yes. And then I come over, and the guy says, "Are you Lachlan Cross?" And he goes, "Yes, I am." And he sticks his hand out to shake the guy's hand, and the guy goes, "You're a fucking asshole. I hate you. You're such a dick." He looked like he was gonna punch Locke in the face.
He looked like he was, and I thought there was gonna be violence because he was that agitated. Jimmy comes over with a beer, and he looks down at Jimmy and goes, "Are you James?" And James is like, "Yes." And he goes, "I love you." And I honestly think that Jimmy may have saved me from a beating.
Because I went over there and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" He goes, "Jimmy, I love you, man. You're awesome." "He's an asshole." I'm like, "Yeah, he's an asshole, but he's my friend. And here's your beer, Locke."
I had to pay with my minimum wage salary. Here's your beer, sir.
I think I was being paid less than minimum wage back then.
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. Well, listen, I'm excited for Pink Shirt Day, February the 22nd. Go to @JPWhite957. That's where you can find him on Twitter. All the information is there. DM him, follow him. He will follow you.
Check your DMs, Jimmy, because you will get a couple on your Twitter today.
Yeah. And if you want a link or some more information about the Pink Shirt Day, shoot me an email at jimmy@957cruisefm.ca.
Jimmy@957cruisefm.ca. Send him an email. Very shortly, the Harvard radio website, 957cruisefm.ca, will have the sign-up sheet as well as a Crier Media. Your classroom, if it's just you, if it's just, you want to learn about bullying, maybe the kids are home that day. These are open schools. These are open individuals, adults, kids, people, doesn't matter. We've got a great panel of people, Jen Valentine, Kareem Assad, Jimmy, myself. We're going to make sure that we cover the gamut on how to fucking deal with life because it's tough sometimes and bullying sucks. But Jimmy, thanks for doing this. And by the way, if you go to your merch page, you can actually get a shirt, right? Yeah.
Yes.
These shirts, you guys did a great job of these, by the way. Really good job.
Yeah, we had the design team at Harvard. Because normally most of our stuff is just text.
But the thing is,
Scooter lives matter.
Yeah.
Beer is
with this
cheaper
Pink
than
Shirt
therapy.
Day.
I hate vegans.
With the Pink Shirt Day thing, one thing that's very important that people know is actually how much work Locke has put into it. Right from the year end last year, he's been working on it, planning a bunch of things. He's been the driving force of a lot of he's the guy that sits in the back and pulls the whip out and says, "Okay, I need this, and send emails, but not to everybody in the world."
Yeah. Tough one.
So, but he's the guy that's been busting his ass for this.
Yeah, he has. Pink Shirt Day.
We've also just recently set up a delay on Jimmy's email now, so that when he hits send, it doesn't send for 5 minutes.
So we can go back and make sure
he can think about what he's done.
But the only reason I knew what I had done is you got the email and then just started
Yeah. So a lot of information a lot of people here don't have, so we don't have to go into the whole story specifically at the end of the show, but that's okay. James B. White @JPWhite957, give him a follow. Locke, thanks for doing this, dude. Great to see you as well today. Really appreciate it. Too bad we didn't have time to get to Groundhog Day because I fucking watched a bunch of fucking absolute. Did you guys celebrate Groundhog Day today? Did you guys do the whole thing about it?
No.
You good. Groundhogs can't tell the weather. You guys do know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jimmy, did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has something to do with the shadow they cast, doesn't it?
No, it has nothing to do with that. But the saddest part of Groundhog Day? 60% of Canadians think that little fucking rodent can tell people what the weather's going to be like in 6 weeks.
Oh, but hold on. I actually believe that to be the case.
No, you don't.
No,
you
okay,
can't
we don't have time to get into it today.
No, we do. We got time now. No, you can't possibly believe that.
I do.
You believe that the groundhog can predict the spring?
Yeah, because of the
No.
shadow.
Oh my God, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
No. Do you believe that too, Jimmy?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
I believe in Ballsack Billy.
Yeah, Balzac Billy. That was one of them. Balzac Billy's one of the guys. These are Canada's fucking groundhogs. Balzac Billy, Manitoba Merv, Wyatt and Willie, Fred, which is an interesting story about Fred this morning. Shadows, Shubenecity, Sam, some lobster named Lucy in Newfoundland, and then Punxsutawney Phil. There's a bunch of groundhogs.
I've always thought there was something to this. Isn't it always?
No.
Yeah,
no,
so you're wrong. You're
no,
wrong.
I'm not.
They
I read about it
every year.
I read about it today. No, I read about it today. Groundhog Day, and other than being one of the greatest movies ever made, Groundhog Day is an old Christian/German tradition. And they used to break up the winter back in Germany with like a little kind of fun party. And they had like a different animal. It wasn't even like a groundhog. It was like a hedgehog, I believe. At first, there was like a hedgehog thing. And they're like, we got this magic hedgehog. And they wanted to encourage people to stay positive throughout the winter. And then they're like, and then when the idiots came over to Canada and North America, they're like, yeah, we're going to do Groundhog Day here too. And they're like, we got no hedgehogs. They're like, what about a prairie dog? What about a gopher? And they're like, nope, it's got to be a fucking groundhog. And so all of these, like Punxsutawney Phil came around about 110 years ago. And then all of a sudden, all these other things. And people were like, if we're going to take this fucking thing, this little rodent out of this cave filled with hay, and we're going to pull it out, and he's going to tell us whether or not there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter, right? Now, the theory behind it, and it's total bullshit. It just is a big party at 5 a.m. to break up the winter. That's all it is. And it came from a Christian tradition, which is also stupid. But the really interesting part of this, because I did some reading,
to do with where the sun is in the sky.
No, it's got nothing to do with that either.
Yeah,
like zero.
I refuse to believe that this is.
Well, you should.
This is just a hoax.
No, it is. It's a completely hoax, and I can't believe you didn't know that. That is unbelievable. It's not real.
Ballsack Billy.
They're just rodents. They can do nothing other than eat shit and procreate. That's it. They have no gifts, no nothing. However, the interesting part of this thing is groundhogs are one of the only animals who truly fucking hibernate. I'm giving you guys some fucking gold here. I hope you appreciate this. Some information.
Bob doesn't believe in
Ballsack Billy saw a shadow or did not see a shadow.
He didn't,
which is predicted in early spring.
They don't see anything.
Thank you, Ballsack Billy. I watch in 6 weeks. Let's talk again. You can go fuck yourself. I like this. I need this.
Balzac Billy didn't see his shadow. Balzac, Alberta, by the way, one of the greatest fucking cities ever. Manitoba Merv
I always say Balzac.
did. Wyatt and Willie didn't. How about Fred in Quebec? That's the French groundhog. He died.
That guy died. They yanked him out and he was dead. What does that mean? That means they have to pay double carbon tax.
See, Lachlan Cross, he doesn't believe in God, but he believes in Ballsack Billy.
I do.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah. What a fucking crying shame that is. He's like, I don't believe in God, but I'm pretty sure a hedgehog is a weatherman.
Listen, I've had enough of this. You and your anti-Groundhog Day rhetoric. Yeah. All right.
Anyway, the French hedgehog died, and they yanked him out overnight. And they're like, I think he's been dead for 2 months because it smells in here. And so no one knew when it was time to bring the fucking hedgehog out in Quebec. They're like, it's time for a day. His name is Fred LaMarmotte. Fred LaMarmotte. They're like, in French, you're like, let's bring out Fred LaMarmotte. And they look at it, it's like, he's dead. So they reached in the crowd and literally pulled this kid out, and he was the celebratory hedgehog for the day, which also looks a little odd, but whatever.
Yeah, that kid's not going to have a normal life.
No, stop it. Enough of the Groundhog Days. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you doing this. At Lachlan Cross, at JP White 957. Talk to you tomorrow. No, we won't. You won't be here tomorrow.
I'm going to Jasper.
Yeah, you are. Sex trip, right?
Yeah. I've got wrestling.
You got wrestling? Also a sex trip. Lachlan's going on a
there's a little less sex at wrestling.
You don't know that.
I am getting spanked.
You got a wrestling show tomorrow? You're getting spanked?
Oh yeah.
Attaboy.
Well, we had a guy call up. We were giving tickets away for
he says,
Jimmy's.
I go, you're getting spanked tomorrow? And Jimmy goes, Oh yeah.
He likes a little bit of the
You like
little
getting spanked?
slap and tickle. Yeah.
I like a little bit of
You're gonna. I'm not gonna be able to masturbate for a week if I hear this story.
And you're trying to stop me. How?
Here's a quick story, Dean. So we've been giving away tickets all week on the show. Jimmy's does this Monster Pro Wrestling. It's the first Friday of every month, and so it's tomorrow night at Alberta Avenue. And they pack this place. It's quite entertaining. Jimmy is part of the heel group, the Carnival of Chaos or whatever.
Yes.
So he's Giant Jim or Giant Peter. We have
Big Dick.
My real name is Giant Jim, but you guys call me Giant Peter.
Giant Peter.
Of course.
Anyway, so this guy wins these tickets on Monday. We're giving away tickets. His name is Ben.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Ben texts us on Tuesday. He goes, I can't give away I can't take the tickets. I'm sorry, you got to give them to somebody else. So I'm like, what's going on here? So we call him. Ben won the tickets. It's his wife's birthday on Friday.
Her
And
45th
spent all
birthday.
night trying to talk her into going to backyard wrestling on her birthday. And she's so mad at him. He was calling to go. I can't go. I'm like, how long have you been married? He goes, 18 years. I'm like, you 18 years and you figured out that your wife doesn't want to go to a wrestling show on her birthday?
Alberta's got the best guys, man. I love it so much. That's incredible. I would go to that show if I was there. I would, Jimmy. I swear to God, I'd go to that show.
I told Jimmy I'll go when he gets in the MMA.
What time are you leaving for Jasper for the sex trip, by the way? You making it an early one?
I don't
You
know,
try and get there
early afternoon. I'm going to work, and then we're going to pack. And
does she know it's a sex trip? Or is it or is this one of those sex trips that's going to require some convincing on the sex trip?
I might bring it up on the drive there.
Captive audience, it works.
Yeah. Wait till you get to Devon at least and go, I was thinking about something.
Hey,
we can have some sex this weekend. We married 35,000 years. We might as well give it a go, right?
I did a little trimming. What do you think?
Did you give it a trim before you go for the weekend?
Yeah, he pulled out the weed whacker. And
it's all about presentation.
Attaboy. Good for you. Just get maritally greasy. You should. Do all the stuff. Hey? Yeah, windows open. Just do a bunch of weird shit. Honey, get the deviled eggs. Like stuff like that. Let's figure out what we can do with these. Get some cold cuts, some deviled eggs, and some Dutch clogs. Let's take pictures. Let's see what happens here. Anyway, there you go, Jimmy. A little something for you to enjoy later.
See you next week, boys.
I'll
see you later, guys.
Jimmy. See you, buddy. See you, Jimmy. See you, Locke. Good to see you, bud. All right, James P. White, Pink Shirt Day, 22nd of February. That's it for us. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Sex trip with the wife, eh? Imagine it. Imagine the awkward silence there where he's like, so we're 20 minutes into this trip. I'm thinking maybe it'd be like this terrible conversation to have. Like, we've been married for 30 years. Are we going to do it this weekend? Is that how that goes? God, I'm happy to be out of that. Tragedy averted. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Thanks to Jesse Lumsden for being part of the program today. At Jesse.Lumsden on Instagram. Give him a follow. He's a good man. Really appreciate having him here. He's going to come back again, which is nice. He doesn't often do those things, but just lucky, I guess. Get a man on the program today. Jesse Lumsden. Tomorrow, Nate Pike, speaking of men, from the Breakdown AB podcast. And it's going to be him, and it's going to be me, and we're going to go over Canada's alt-right news farming agencies. We're going to go over the whole scene. True North, Rebel News, all the stuff, all the guys. Canada Proud. And we're going to tell you who's behind it and where they came from and what they're doing to you. Nate Pike from The Breakdown. Tomorrow we'll have some fun doing it as well. Give him a follow on Twitter. Thanks to our friends, the Breakdown AB on Twitter, by the way, and a great follow and a great podcast. So go download it. It's called the Breakdown AB podcast. Anywhere you find podcasts, you can also get it at crier.co or any Crier Media property. And we are brought to you by our friends at Crier Media. Listen, if you're looking for a partner in the digital content game, we've partnered with Crier Media. Highly suggest you do too. Amplification, monetization, and of course, a place to work and hang your hat and call friends. That is what we do here at crier.co. And if you have any more information, you can hit me up at it's Dean Blundell on Twitter or info@crier.co. Again, info@crier.co. Podcast, blog, doesn't matter. Micro content. You just like making stuff. We'd like to talk to you. Doesn't matter where you're at, crier.co. Again, info@crier.co. And again, thanks to our friends at kivlaw.ca for making this possible. If you're looking for a great defense attorney or a team of them, you look no further in Southern Ontario than kivlaw.ca. Robert at kivlaw.ca. That's his email address. He's the principal. He'll help you get your life back. You do not want to risk your future by pleading guilty to your charges. Their criminal defense lawyers defend those who've been charged with criminal offenses, and they've got help 24/7. All you have to do is get in touch with them. Listen, don't try and outrun the law. You can't do it. If you don't have a law degree, you're screwed. So go to robert@kivlaw.ca for more information, specifically in Southern Ontario. He helps his clients get answers, and he wants to make sure that you don't give away your future. So make sure you give it every chance. kivlaw.ca today. Also, our friends at Cantork, Colin Livingston, can't say enough about his crew at Cantork. These are great people. How good of people are they? When you say, Dean, how can the people at Cantork be good? Why do you talk about that? Because they made a hard decision a couple of years ago, and they supply torque equipment, the most rugged, hard-working, beautiful torque wrenches, if it loosens and fastens, to big industry around the world, right? So, like everybody that used to manufacture overseas, Colin is such a hardo for making sure it's done right, and he's so proud of Canada that he brought all his manufacturing back to beautiful Edmonton, Alberta over the past couple of years, and that's where he does his stuff. He makes beautiful, hard-working torque wrenches. Doesn't matter the scale of the bolting project. If it's in nuclear, if it is in railroad, if it's in heavy machinery, if it's in any kind of facility or any kind of need that you have for a massive torque wrench that nobody else can make, they can custom fabricate it to you. They take cover and take care of all kinds of industries when it comes to looseners and fasteners or bolting projects. So go to cantork.com. Colin Livingston is your guy. Cantork.com today. And of course, Ed's Fine Imports and his Gitch. We're brought to you by Gitch underwear for men. Breathable, soft, stretch, beautiful underwear. Could have the greatest material on the planet, and that pouch in the front is Canadian made for Canadian guys. And these are luxury underwears that are made in Canada. Underwears. They sound like my kid. Underwear that are made in Canada for Canadians by a Canadian guy, actually, Ed. These are his fine imports. Clothing for men and boys. Go there today. Use promo code GITCH3 and you'll get yourself a free pair of underwear. Breathable, soft, incredible. You'll love them. Make sure that you go to Ed's Fine Imports if you're looking for any clothing at all. Clothing for men and boys. But his Gitch are the bee's knees. They're the biznatch, if you will. GITCH3 is your promo code. Enter it on the way out, and you'll send you a free pair when you order 3 or more. Nice guy. I like Ed. Giving people underwear now for a solid 3 years. That's it. Have a great day. Nate Pike from The Breakdown tomorrow. We'll see you then. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can get us on Twitch as well. Dean Blundell Show on YouTube, Twitch, Dean Blundell TV, anywhere you find podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. And don't forget, visit crier.co today. See you tomorrow. Bye.